Hey guys, how's it going? Okay, so today we are talking about a very, very important topic. The reason why I wanted to bring this up was because I've been talking to a lot of women this week, and one of the things that keeps coming up in our conversations is, I want to get this weight off fast. And so with that being said, I wanted to come on and help give you guys an idea of some of the ways that you're actually blocking your weight loss or slowing it down, and how, and give you the tools to help you be able to speed it up. Because I think the thing is that in our society right now, especially with keto and all these other things, we have this idea that weight should be like just falling off. We're told these expectations that, you should be able to lose like 5 pounds a week and, 20 pounds in a month and like all these things. And it's just not realistic. Not only is it not realistic, but it's actually causing you to slow or stall your weight loss. And so that's one of the things that I wanted to, dive in here, because I want to be able to shift the conversation from, I want to be able to get this weight off fast, to I want to be able to get this weight off and keep it off. Because I think that that is ultimately the most important thing. Because the more that I speak to you guys, the more that I start to, I understand that it's not about getting the weight off fast. You want the weight off fast because it's uncomfortable. It's, you're waking up every morning, you're feeling uncomfortable in your skin, getting dressed is not fun, you're spending hours looking for something to wear, you don't feel confident when you go out. And so I understand why you want to get it off fast. But the thing is that when you have that philosophy, when you feel like, I don't care what I'm going to do, I just want it off, you are actually disconnecting from your body. And over time, what happens, especially with women, is that, the more that we disconnect, the less that we're going to get the results that we have. And what I mean by disconnect is that, let's be honest, you didn't put this weight on overnight. This weight didn't come on in the past, 2 to 3 months. This weight came on over time. And so the idea that you can take it off like that just isn't fair to your body. And the things that we do to our body to try to achieve that goal is actually not only destroying our metabolism, but it's damaging, our entire system, which can sometimes lead to like even greater things like immune deficiencies and immune diseases and stuff like that, hypothyroidism. Like, there's so many things that this can relate to, which is why I think it's so important to shift that mindset from I want it off fast to I want to be able to maintain it. And so, here's the reasons essentially why or how we are damaging our bodies and slowing down our weight loss. And there's a couple of them. So I would say the first one is with dieting. Now, when I say dieting, any diet realistically, as long as you're restricting your body, you're going to be damaging it, especially over time. One of the trends that I'm seeing a lot is this on and off, this yo-yo diet cycle. So, you'll go on for a diet for 2 to 3 months and then you get off. And then you go back on another one for 2 to 3 months and then you get off. That is damaging your metabolism. I can't even begin to explain to you guys the damage that you're causing to your body. And over time, what's going to happen is that your metabolism slows and slows and slows until it stops. And so if you've been dieting for a couple of years and all of a sudden all of the things that used to work before aren't working, it's likely the case. And so let's just break down. I think what would be helpful is if maybe I broke down, a couple of the diets that can do this, that really damage your metabolism. So the first one is calorie counting. And so by what I mean by that is when we are drastically restricting our caloric intake. Now, I know a lot of you, when you come in and I have these conversations with you, you're loading up your MyFitnessPal, and right away, you're putting in your information and you think that it's giving you this magic number that it's going to help you lose weight. The majority of you are counting calories at 1,200 calories. You're not some special, MyFitnessPal isn't, actually giving you those totals. It's realistically giving you the same low caloric number. And I've talked about this before. So the more that you, the longer that you eat or consume 1,200 calories, your body starts to adapt at that level. Meaning that the moment that you stop eating 1,200 calories, your body's going to start to put on weight again, which is why you get that rebound weight gain. And so, doing that over time and time again, if you do the restriction and then you come off of it and then you do it again, your metabolism over time is ultimately going to start to slow down and maybe even stall. And so that's one of the ways that you're damaging it. The next one, now this is a very popular one, especially for women lately, that I hear all the time because there's so much fears around carbs right now in our culture and the diet culture, is keto and low carb. Now, the interesting thing about, most of the studies that are done on weight loss diets is that they're done, and I've spoken about this before, they're actually done on men. They aren't done on women. And so keto is extremely effective for men and women who are postmenopausal because their hormones are no longer fluctuating. If you still, if you're a woman who hasn't hit menopause yet, keto is actually damaging your metabolism. So long-term keto, if you do it, keto basically only works for women for 1 week during our cycles. 1 week. The rest of the 3 weeks of our cycles, we actually need carbohydrates in order for us to help our bodies lose weight. And so doing keto over time is going to, damage it's going to mess up your insulin levels. It messes with your gut, and your gut is like Queen Beyonce when it comes to the health and wellness of your body and helping it process food and digest all of those nutrients. And so doing keto over time, definitely going to stall your weight loss. The next thing that I want to talk about is, another big popular one right now is intermittent fasting. Again, studies are only done on men. Intermittent fasting actually works really, really well for men. But because their hormones are the exact same every day, they cycle on a 24-hour clock. Women cycle on a 28-day cycle. So at any given time, at any part of the month, we are our bodies are at each different week in your cycle, your body is operating at a totally different level than the week before. Your moods are changing, your physiology changes, the way you process food changes, what your body needs changes. And so by doing intermittent fasting, the reason why it's effective for men is because they operate on that 24-hour cycle. So, where their cortisol levels, and I don't want to get too much into the science of this, but where their cortisol levels, are increased and raised, intermittent fasting actually works really well for that. For women, however, it doesn't. So if you're, if you're trying, IF and you think that you're doing really well, you're actually causing more stress on your system. You can get the exact same results by you don't have to do the 8-16, IF, that traditional ratio. You can get the exact same results by limiting your eating and expanding your fasting to, just 12 hours a day. So 12 hours eating, 12 hours resting, which basically looks like you have breakfast at 7 a.m. and you have dinner by 7 p.m., which is not only so much more realistic, but it's actually more beneficial for your body as a woman because the way that ours is set up, it just allows us to process foods that so much more. And so this is just, only a couple of examples of how these diets are actually slowing down, your weight loss. And so the next I would say in terms of a big one, especially for women, is stress. And I know that, you guys hear this so much from me and you're like, well, it's hard. I'm CEO of my household. I work full time. I've got to manage the kids. I've got a husband, which is another kid. I've got all these things going on. It's not exactly easy to manage my stress, which I totally get. But the reason why this is important is because if you are maxed out, if you are stressed out, you have to start to implement different stress reducing mechanisms in your life to help calm yourself. So whether that be just a couple of points throughout the day of taking deep breaths, whether that be meditation, whether that be just quieting yourself for 5 minutes before you go. I do this every single day. Before I go and pick up my daughter from daycare, I literally sit in the car and I just deep breathe for a couple of minutes because I know when I pick up that 2-year-old, she's going to be a lunatic and right away my stress goes up. So I just like to prepare myself. Doing little things I love having music in the house, really relaxing, vibey music because, if Maddie's throwing a tantrum in the other room, it kind of helps to, keep things a little bit more mellow. These little tools and tips are actually so beneficial for you. Not to mention, if you are super stressed out and if you say you're going to the gym 5 days a week, it's only causing more stress on your body. I know again that you want to get the weight off. I know that you want it off really fast, but if your system is maxed out, the last thing that you want to do is go and do spin class, boot camp, intense training for 5, 6, 7 straight days a week, because your body actually needs to come down. So if you feel like your stress levels are through the roof, like slow it down on the workouts. Or if you're like me and if you really love moving your body, go for a walk for 30 minutes a day. Hit up a yoga class, do Pilates, do something, like resistance training that's not as intensive, which is actually going to help to lower those cortisol levels and bring down the stress and give you the same results. So then I think another big one for women that I will always say, and if you have kids, I'm going to preface this with do your best, is sleep. So if you aren't getting between 7.5 to 8 hours of sleep a night, your weight loss is going to be it's going to be an uphill battle for you. And the reason being is that, that there's a specific period of time at night that you need to be asleep and be resting. So if you aren't in bed by 11 o'clock, get your ass in bed, because that's when the clock starts ticking. And it's during this time that your metabolism resets, like your whole body resets and restores itself for the next day. So if you're up burning the midnight oil, you're not getting those critical hours of sleep that are going to help to reset your body so that it's prepared for the next day. So that means you're carrying all the stress, everything with you into the next day. So you're not giving your body what it needs to recover. And recovery is essential for weight loss. So 7.5 to 8 hours. Now, if you have kids, believe you me, I have a 2-year-old and an 8-month-old. Sleep is a luxury in our house, but that just means I try even harder. So the moment those babies go down, which is usually about 7 o'clock, I'm getting ready with them in bed. Like, we are all getting our pajamas on together. I am in bed by 8 p.m. Lights out, everything done, 8 p.m. I'm reading for maybe 15, 20 minutes, and then I'm out. Which means that whatever happens, so like if I need to get up at 7 a.m., that means I've given myself almost like a 9-hour stretch. It's like a 10, like I'm almost giving myself a 12-hour stretch to get in 8 hours of sleep. And so just making it a priority and making sure that you can get to bed on time so that your body can actually, as long as you're in bed by 11 o'clock, guys, like that's just my goal for you. Please get in bed by 11, because if you can get up at 7, you're golden. Just be in bed, lights out, eyes closed by 11, which should mean that you should be in bed by 10 or 10:30, depending on how long it takes you to fall asleep. But sleep is essential. I can promise you right now, I say it to women all the time in the group, get a good week, all you need is one good week of sleep. You're going to drop 2 pounds 2 pounds are coming off on that scale. I can promise you. That is how critical this is to your weight loss and how much it is blocking you if you're not getting it. And so I think the last thing, or the last 2 things that I would say are blocking your, success and slowing down your progress is excessive coffee and excessive sugar. And the reason being is that these 2 things have a massive impact on your hormones. And so coffee, what that does is, if you're drinking more than 1 cup of coffee a day, your adrenals are going to be maxed. If you feel like you need to survive, if you need coffee to survive throughout the day, you are maxing out your adrenals and putting even more stress on your body. And it is just, I'm telling you right now, in terms of your weight loss, huge, huge block. Get your 8 hours of sleep a night and you probably won't need as much coffee. And so the reason why I always say, now listen, I understand. You definitely, I love coffee. If you need 1 cup of Java in the morning to get you going, by all means, it is not a crime. But if you are drinking upwards of a pot of coffee a day, which I know most women are, if you have 1 to 2 in the morning and then you have, 2 or 3 throughout the rest of the day, that's a pot of coffee. Because let me tell you, we're not drinking a little cup. We're, more often than not, we're drinking, my coffee cup is here's my coffee cup. 20, venti, got it from Starbucks. So that's my coffee cup. I don't actually drink coffee, I drink bone broth. But you know what I mean? But so just monitor how much you're drinking, because the reason why it impacts your hormones is because you're actually tricking your body. So if your body is exhausted, you are then spiking up all of your, like, your cortisol, your adrenal level, like you're spiking it all up. It's almost like you're imitating energy, which is going to confuse, it's going to confuse you and your hormones internally because you're physically exhausted. And then all of a sudden you give yourself a stimulant. And so your body's like, what's going on? So over time, it loses that mind to body connection that I talked about in the beginning. The same thing with sugar. It's like, you use it for energy. It gives you that spike. And so the more that you're diving into it, the more that you're messing with your hormones and potentially blocking your weight loss. Now, how to fix it? Here's how we can boost your weight loss really, really quickly so that, you can start to see, and I like to say, don't ever expect to see 5 pounds drop on the scale. A safe, healthy, realistic, maintainable weight loss is 1 to 2 pounds a week. And I understand that if you have 40 or 50 more, you're calculating in your head, you're like, oh my God, that's a year. Yeah. You didn't put this weight on overnight, and it's going to take you time to take it off. And that is how, and I remember, so if you guys saw a couple days ago, I did a post about my client, Melissa, who just shed 20 inches off her body and is actually she hit her goal and is going for more because she's so excited that she didn't actually think she was going to be able to hit her goal. Now she's going for even more. I remember when, I met with Melissa and we were talking about it, she was like, and there's actually an interview and she actually says it in the interview, you can check it out in this group or it's on the Nourish company business page. She says in the interview, I was really frustrated in the beginning because the weight wasn't coming off quickly. I really wanted to see 5 to 10 pounds, 5 pounds coming off a week, and it wasn't coming off off that quickly. But she said, she was like, looking back now, I really appreciate how slow it was because it allowed me to connect to my body, to honor my body and all that it was doing for me to help me lose this weight, how much it was taking care of me and how much stress I'd put on it before and how it's our body, we're able to rebuild them. So I'm not saying that, if you're doing this, that you're stuck for life. Everything is able to be rebuilt as long as you nourish your body. And so I think that was one of Michelle's biggest takeaways from working with me was that it was slow, but 12 weeks later, she's lost 20 inches. Looking back, it's a blip on the radar and she's going for more now with that healthy mindset in place. And so I think that having that and, setting that expectation with yourself and your body early on, creating that agreement to say, I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to nourish you. I'm not going to deprive you. I'm not going to starve you. And you're going to work for me and help me do this. And we're going to do this together. Get back in touch with your body because it's going to be the number one thing that not only helps you lose this weight, but keeps it off. So that being said, back on track on how to fix it. So in terms of the diet, because, we talked about the keto, we talked about the intermittent fasting, we talked about the calorie counting. All you need to do, there's a couple of things. I would say eat the right food combinations at every single meal. And so depending on what your goals are and what you're weight on, that could be, it's fats, proteins, fiber, and carbohydrates. And so like I said before, based on where you're at right now and what your goals are, how much of that, and what that looks like every day is going to vary. But making sure that you have those components in your diet is going to be critical in terms of making this a lifestyle. The next thing I would say in terms of the stress, so managing your stress, I talked about it a little bit before, find your own techniques of ways to help bring yourself down. If you need to, like I said before, one of mine is, we have Google iHomes all over the house, and I always have music playing wherever we are, and it's always chill and low vibe, and it just helps to level me out when my toddler is screaming about, whatever, if she's beating up Sienna because she wants a toy or I don't know, it helps to level me out. I do deep breathing throughout the day. I set an alarm in my phone and I just take a couple minutes. All I really do is 4 or 5 breaths, just in, hold it, exhale for, a couple counts longer, because it's really that exhale, that release of all of that tension. That's what's actually going to help you. Meditation. my practice isn't always consistent, but when I try to get it in, it's only 3 minutes in the morning. It's not a lot. It's just literally grounding myself for the day. So there's so many, if you like long hot baths, if you want to take a 15-minute shower, whatever it is to help sort of bring you down and level you out. Again, with the exercise, decreasing your stress. So if you are stressed, if you're, super maxed out at work, super maxed out at home, the last thing you want to be doing is going and doing a massive boot camp or heavy weight training or intense, I can't even, spin classes. You do not want to do that because it's causing additional stress on your body. So if you're maxed out, all that's going to do is keep the weight on. Because once you're stressed, once your cortisol levels are increased, your body responds. And it responds by holding on to everything because it feels like it's being chased by a bear. So it's like, I got to hold on to all of this on the off chance that we need this energy one day. And so if you have those love handles, if you feel like you're training and you still have, and Melissa said that too, I still felt like I had that layer of fat around me no matter how hard I worked out. That's one of the reasons. So slow your roll on the exercise. Try some yoga, try some walking. I'm not saying that you don't have to, you cut out weight training. Take it down to 2 or 3 days a week. That's most. Believe you me, my husband is a personal trainer. If you follow me on Instagram, you know how hot his body looks. That man and myself, and all of his clients only work out 3 days a week because recovery is king, especially if you have body composition goals or weight loss goals, you need to recover. And then so of course, we talked about sleep. 8 hours, 7.5 at the very least. And if you have new babies, like I said before, I know that it can be a challenge. Be intentional about it, guys. Instead of heading for the television and the Netflix after dinner, go upstairs. Or be like me. If you're putting the kids to bed, you're all brushing your teeth together. You're all getting into your pajamas together. You're all winding down together. A lot of times I'll even take a bath with the girls. They're babies, so we can all fit in the tub together. And I'm like, okay, let's all take a bath. And it's nice. I have a nice hot bath with the kids before I go to bed. And we're all just taking it down a notch. And then that's how I'm in bed by 8 p.m., 8:30 every single night. And so that's how I can guarantee that I'm going to be getting those 8 hours because I'm super intentional about it. Even if my kids wake up a couple times, I'm for sure getting 7.5. And so lastly, in terms of the coffee and the sugar, I know that it is not realistic to say, cut it out, because coffee is amazing. And I don't know about you, but birthday cakes are probably going to be lasting for the rest of your life. So to say, date nights, all of the things, it's not going to go away. But you have to get it to a place that is supportive of your goals. Meaning that if you feel every single day that you're diving into, the cupboards at 3 p.m. looking for something sweet to keep you going, or if you're at the, every single day at the lunchroom, you're going into this, you're heading in there and grabbing all the snacks just because you feel like you need energy, you got to cut it off. But the benefit is that if you do all of these things, those crashes are going to stop and you won't have to do it anymore. So just know that sugar is not evil. It is not the devil. It's only if you are excessive about it. If you are consuming it multiple times a day in excessive amounts, it is going to slow your weight loss. I'm not going to lie. You cannot have both. And so the reason why I say, just find a way that it can be manageable for you. So for me, every single day, it looks like a nice piece of chocolate after dinner, or a couple of scoops, 1 or 2 small scoops of ice cream as dessert. And that's it. That is all my sugar for the day because I don't eat a lot of fruit. And so literally if I'm having sugar, that's where it is. It's a little small piece of chocolate or half a cup of ice cream. That's it. But I allow myself, and when I indulge, I enjoy it because I don't have it often. And because I allow myself to have it every single day, I also stop demonizing it, which also means that I don't crave it. It's like an option. It's not like something oh, it's so bad and I can't have it, which makes you want to have it even more. Let's be honest. If you've ever dated a bad boy, you know that you always wanted to call him, even though that you knew you shouldn't. And that's the exact same sort of relationship that we have with sugar. So keep the coffee to a minimum if you possibly can. 1 cup a day. If you've got to, try to go to decaf. it's gonna, I swear to you, over time, the first, slowly, and don't go cold turkey because it's gonna knock you on your ass, but slowly start to remove it or decrease it. Switch to decaf. See how, take 1 calf and then, switch that to decaf. Take 2 cups and then switch those to decaf. Do that over time, and your body's going to naturally start to recalibrate itself and adapt. And I can promise you won't be exhausted, because it's the same sort of thing. The more coffee you drink, the more coffee you need. And so get to a place where it's manageable and, you enjoy it, but you don't need it. And by doing all of these other things, you're going to have so much more energy that I can promise you you're not going to need it. Anyways, guys, I hope you found that helpful. If you did, send me a thumbs up. Let me know. And if you have any other questions, feel free to drop them below this live, and I would be more than happy to answer them. But I just wanted to sort of reframe the idea of fast weight loss, because I think that, a lot of the things that we are doing right now to get the weight off quickly is actually slowing our weight loss. And once you sort of shift that mindset to, I just want to take care of my body, I just want to have energy, I just want to be able to find something that I can sustain long term, as opposed to, I just want to get this weight off, that is the biggest shift that you will make. And once you make that shift, that's when you're ready for long-term weight loss success. And I promise you, you'll be able to maintain it for the rest of your life. Hand to God. I have women doing it every single week in the Nourish the Weight Loss System for Busy Moms. Okay, anyways, guys, I've got to run. But again, I hope you found this helpful. And if you have any questions, just drop them below, and I'll see you in the group soon. Bye.